What is the most challenging part of being an actor?
Well, for me right now, well, I mean, of course there's memorization, and sometimes there's the show from hell. I have one or two of those. It's different in different shows. I mean, for instance, I didn't have to. I mean, one show, I may have told you this before. My wig fell off. My hair fell out of my wig, and it was. I just had to keep going, But and then on another show, someone was supposed to be my ex-husband, and he was having a garage sale, and he was selling an electric frying pan, and he wanted to prove that the electric frying pan still worked, so he had to scramble an egg. That egg never, ever, ever got scrambled. He had to eat a raw egg every night, so that was really no fun for him. And then the show from hell was like the woman had bought silk to put on the flats, and instead of painting them or anything, I mean, it was expensive fabric, and then she expected the actors to do that, and we had to do it, and there was a teeny tiny stage and huge, large actors bumbling around with too much furniture, and it was. I sort of wanted to just wipe it out from my memory because it was a show from hell. It was called The Physicists by Dürrenmatt. It's a good play, but our production was not so good.
Yeah, I remember the story.
So and now one of the worst parts is if it's raining or snowing at night and the GPS does not agree with what I checked on the internet of how to get to the place, and I don't know if I'm on the right road, and that kind of anxiety, that's probably one of the worst things that I experience right now. Once I get there, once I had a car accident getting to a show, and after the car accident, I called them up. I said I was going to be late. I had a car accident, but I could still drive. When I got there to the show, it was like home base. It's like, this is easy. This is what I know. The driving was not, that was the scary part, although I'm a good driver. But, the driving was the scary part. That was when you're sort of shaking having had an accident. But then when I did the show, it was like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Theater is always interesting, because it just feels natural, theater. It just...
Yes. Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to believe it. There are different styles. I mean, back in the really old days, they had these exaggerated styles of acting. And if you look at some of the silent movies, the people's expressions are so shocked and so surprised or so, just exaggerated. That it's funny.
Yeah.
And I went to the University of Rochester, and in Rochester there's also a school for the deaf.
Oh, really?
And yes, there is. And there was a school for the deaf, and there was also the Eastman Theater, because George Eastman from Eastman Kodak, which no longer is, I think that just went away now with digital photography. Mm-hmm. But George Eastman grew up in Rochester, and so there was the Eastman Theater, and they would play old movies, and they would play silent movies. And, of course, the actors were saying different things, because who could tell what they were saying? But the deaf people could tell what they were saying. And they would laugh and laugh at, whatever. I didn't know what was going on, but the deaf audience really understood what the actors were saying.
Yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Have you done, film and television acting?
Yes, I have. I have done... So I was in America's Most Wanted, the Terry Hart episode. I was the mother some other things too, just generally small parts. But that was a fairly major part, and the strange thing about that one was that they paid me, and Terry Hart, who was wanted, was in a motel, and he saw the episode that they were looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he killed himself.
My.
The mystery was solved, of course. We are no longer looking for Terry Hart.
Yeah.
But then I got paid again. Death benefit. It felt like, ugh, do I want to cash that check? And then, even though the mystery had been solved and the problem was over, they put it into America's best of America's best, most wanted. And I got paid again. And then they sent the whatever it is, the program over to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I got paid again. I got paid 4 times for that.
Wow.
But they solved the problem right away. They were no longer looking for Terry Hart.
Yeah. That is kind of
strange.
Yeah, that is kind of creepy. Yeah.
It was creepy. It was very creepy. As I was driving down the car, he dragged my daughter by the hair through a creek or something like that, and she came back home, and I drove out trying to find him in the car. They had the camera perched on the hood of the car, and really I wasn't driving very fast, but I was furious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's America's Head of State.
Yep.
Head of State. And I'm in the trailer for that. Chris Rock thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
And so he put my great big face right in the trailer, screaming, "The house is on fire!" But I can scream. I'm not going to do it now. Your equipment would not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let it go. I always think, a baby can scream. And even in church, if a baby just says, "ah," you can hear it in the whole church. So why can't you hear other people who are saying something?
Yeah.
You can hear a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And a baby can cry for an hour and not get a sore throat. Because the baby just relaxes and cries.
Yeah.
Don't clutch your throat up. Just let it out.
Mm-hmm. How did you get cast for that Head of State? Were you just called in by?
I was actually an extra on the set, and there were other extras. There were some old hip hop dancers, and there were just partiers. If you had an evening dress or something like that,
yeah.
Then that was, they wanted people with evening clothes, and then it was a week-long shoot, and so then they came and just picked me out as someone who would be a grande dame type, someone who would look like the woman who owned the house.
Mm-hmm.
And they did my hair up in a bun, and then did what they asked me. And the funny thing was, to me, to go from being an extra to having a real part,
mm-hmm.
I had to sign something, and it said that they had control of my image in perpetuity throughout the universe. In perpetuity throughout the universe. What? But then I thought, do I want this job? And the answer is yes. I do want this job. I will sign it. but it was, and that. But I think that's a classic thing that they have, that the movie wants the control of your image.
Yeah, And I remember that role, where you were screaming,
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, and it's on my website too. You could, but I think it's a link, so you have to go to. It's not that I have control of it, but you go to their, their trailer,
Yeah.
and then you see. Yeah.
How did you get cast for the, the Morrowind and Oblivion games? Were you called in?
It was through Central Casting. I guess I went to the recording studio, and there were other actors there, and read some of the script, and they cast me. So, yeah, and I think then they liked me because although I'm pretty unassuming, I could do most anything they wanted me to do in those circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you were brought back for the other game.
Yes, I was brought back for the other one. It was a major role. Yeah.
It still is a popular video game series.
Is it? Good, good. That's good to know. I never was patient enough with that to play it. I did buy it once, and then a friend who was staying with us for the summer, he played it. But I know at the very beginning, at least the first one, there's a bunch of water lapping on the shore, and there's a boat, and then you have to do something. And, I didn't feel like doing it. And then there are all the different branches of things that could happen. You choose one thing, and it goes one way, and you choose another thing, it goes another way. So then recording, you have all these different branches that you record for the different choices that the player makes.
Yeah. Because you did all kind of characters. You did the Dark Elf, and you did a few other.
Did I? Yes, I think I did. Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. My last question is, what is your advice to people who want to be an actor?
My advice is get started early, and be in all those school plays you can be in,
mm-hmm.
and watch people, and read a lot, and just get involved, I think. I had a friend, this same friend who came, Reggie Smith was his name. He came and stayed with us for a summer. He was a son of a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one who could play the video game. And he wanted to be an actor. And he went back to Texas, and I said, just go and find where there's a theater and see what you can do. Be around there and, and I think he played a football player in a movie and did a few things. I don't think he seriously became an actor, but he was interested in it. And I said, just go where it is. Go where it is and do what you can. And in fact, my father, he was an actor, but then he was very helpful in many other ways,
mm-hmm.
with the scenery and with the lighting and with playing the organ when he'd never played the organ before. He could play the piano, but he'd never played the organ. But they said, here comes John Root, and he's going to play the organ. It's like, I better practice that. And he did. But what I'm saying is, he just made himself useful in so many ways, and then he became a scenic designer because he did have a talent for that. But that was because he was good at helping out in so many different ways with costumes and scenery and props and all kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, thank you for letting me interview you again. And
oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Trey. I wish you all the best. I know you've been in some shows, and